All right, so you're trying to make it as an independent director of photography or a freelance filmmaker, and the ongoing debate is, do you buy equipment? What equipment do you buy? When and how do you pay for it? So from my experience and looking at some of my colleagues that are similar age and career path, there's three approaches. One is, I would call it the more traditional route, which I feel like I jumped into the tail end of that, which was I started sort of apprenticing. I did go to film school, but really I got all my practical experience from working as a utility on broadcast trucks originally. So I was pulling cable through stadiums to connect multi-cameras for live switching. And then I got into the truck really to get out of the cold and learn how to shade cameras. And that gave me a really solid engineering background on the television technology at the time. I started doing that in high school, and then I went off to film school and discovered the filmmaking side of the medium and fell in love with film, essentially, the moving picture and single camera movie style production. And in that case too, it was either equipment initially owned by the school, and then as I started venturing out as a crew member, all of that film equipment exclusively came from rental houses. So next you have the owner-operator, and some people have had amazing career launches by starting with small, inexpensive kit, shooting their own work, getting recognition, and incrementally building from there. That's an amazing path, one I wanted to pursue, but frankly early on I just didn't have the financial courage to invest thousands of dollars in gear. I mean, at the time, I lived in Burbank. I had 3 roommates. We were sharing an apartment, the 4 of us. And I was, frankly, just chasing dollars and trying to get out of my student loan debt. And I really wasn't in a position, didn't have the cash to pay cash for gear. And I wasn't comfortable extending my debt. All right, so if you want to buy gear, I kind of see it as 3 pieces to that. One, there are 2 ways to do it. One is you pay cash. You save up until you have it and buy it, or you use some form of leverage. It could be as simple as a credit card, or you do equipment financing. I have a couple of colleagues in the trade that have done extremely well using leasing. I personally, I get a lot of anxiety with debt. It stresses me out, and I feel I make bad decisions when I've got some debt behind my kind of business choices. So for me over the years, I figured out I need to wait. I shovel money away and then pull the trigger on a new piece of gear with cash. So the next question is like, what do you buy? And if you're looking at it and you're asking around from your existing customer base, like, if I bought this, would you rent it? Or if I had that, could we use it? If you're asking those questions, I would say the answer is don't buy it. It's not the right item. Kind of wait and see what the trends are with the customers you're working for and where you feel like the technology is going. And when you find a piece of kit that fits that need, that's when you buy it. And for me now, I'm at this point in my career where I'm more likely to buy a piece of equipment if it will make my life or my day easier. More so than trying to figure out the return on investment on something specific. I've just learned over the years organically, like if I buy the tools that make my body of work better and get through the day quicker, that naturally results in more business that grows in that direction and ultimately pays for the equipment. Now with that said, I'm not giving stuff away at deeply discounted prices. I see this phenomenon over and over where a new piece of technology comes out, it's in demand, people want to use it, but it's cost prohibitive. You'll get a lot of people that buy into it with leverage, and then the rates start to rapidly decline, the rental day rates, because people are desperate to make their monthly payment. And it's one of those, like, I don't know, say it's a $1,000 item is sort of the market rate, the rental rate on it. You'll see that like it's $1,000 and then it's $800 and then it's $500 and then you start seeing like, oh man, I just need, if I can make half my lease payment this month, you can use it. Just tell me what you have for budget. And again, like I can't get through life like that. I don't want to worry about paying the bill. So if I've saved up and bought the thing, I can be more strategic and just wait for the right opportunity to use a piece of equipment. And if it doesn't work for the budget, it sits on the shelf. The other thing too with those deeply discounted jobs is those are the jobs that call with a lot of tech support. They're harder on the equipment. The classic scenario with camera and lenses is the low budget things. It's on a weekend, it's a student production, they're shooting at the beach in the sand with the wind and the salt water. Where the following Monday I may have a job booked that's a commercial, it's paying commercial rates, top end, and the camera's gonna sit on a dolly in an air-conditioned building for the entirety of the day. And so I run the risk of sending the gear out on the beach job and then having issues on the real paying gig. So how do you figure out the return on investment and the rental rate on a piece of camera gear? I'd say as a general rule of thumb, the rental day rate is between 1 and 3% of the purchase price. For example, a $15,000 camera, when it's brand new to the market, the current model that was just released, it's going to rent for about $450, $550 a day. You know, the higher end of 3%, maybe even 4%. Now there's this other interesting phenomenon in that as the equipment gets exponentially more expensive, the rental ratio is less. So like a $100,000 camera may only rent for about $1,200. However, the $100,000 camera will have a much longer shelf life. It won't be replaced by a new model, usually in 4, 5, 6 years. And they tend to be in demand and in use a lot more than a $15,000 camera that's got a 18-month, maybe 2-year life cycle. Next, keep in mind an exit strategy. When do you get out? When do you upgrade? I keep a little spreadsheet. I update it every few months, but I will just have a roster of my current inventory and what I feel is the current resale value if I were to sell it private party. And what I do is I look at a sales trend and see if it's something that is still producing revenue at a rate greater than the depreciation of it, I keep it. Unless I need to raise some cash to upgrade to the next thing because I know it's coming and I want to be on the current platform. In years past, I would get in and out on camera bodies specifically rapidly. You know, every 2 years, I was jumping on to the next thing. And for me, that slowed down, and a lot of that too is just my customer base has shifted, and I've gotten into the higher level equipment that isn't evolving rapidly. Also, I feel like the camera manufacturing space has matured compared to like 2009, 10, 11. When it seriously felt like every 3 or 4 months, one of the major manufacturers was announcing a new item, and then there would be this shift with all of the work that was out there. Everyone felt the need to shoot on the brand new thing, and if you were in the space of owning some of that stuff, it was brutal, just trying to keep up. So I have a few items. I'll give you an example of Sony EX3. That thing, I don't think it really has any resale value at this point, but it's an item I use at least once a month. The common scenario is like I might have a corporate event where I'm doing interviews or I'm shooting like sizzle reel material, and then they'll, after I get booked, they'll add on, oh hey, you know what, can we put a camera in the back of the room to shoot the CEO when he gives the keynote presentation? And I'll use that as just like a nice little add-on to my day, getting a little camera out there, and those things are great. I have 2 of them. They sit on the shelf. I pull them out, pretty much a day a month, and I feel like that is not going to change in the next several years. And there really isn't a need to buy a new piece of technology. It's like they've got enough zoom ratio. This one reason I particularly like them is the longer zoom range. I can go back of a 100-foot long room and still get like a waist-up shot of someone on stage. Those things shoot to like $20 SD cards, so I don't have to download footage. It's like the old videotape days. At the end of the day, I just hand the card to the customer and walk away. I'll leave you with one final thought. If you're trying to launch your career as a freelance filmmaker, DP, one thing to keep in mind is when you own a camera kit, it shifts your thinking in that every time you get an inquiry for a project, there's this thing in your back of the mind where you're applying the kit that you already have to that project. And conscious, subconscious, whatever it is, it definitely has an impact in your decision making. And for me, I found like the first 10 plus years of my career, I was in a better position to not own the camera kit because then I was motivated to find the best tool for the project. So there you have some thoughts of what's swirling around in my head as I stand back there while we're rolling all day long, and I have to sneak off text messages and make notes to myself. I'd like to share some of this info before I forget all of it. And if you'd like to see a different topic covered or have some suggestions for me, I'd love to hear it. Just trying to give back a little bit to this community that's been so wonderful to me over the past 25 years. Thanks for watching.